So Dan, take it away.
Hey, so the Redfin CEO says that the booming Rona housing market. Remember, we can't say that word, or we'll get
Right.
pushed down. So it's the booming Rona housing market. I don't think they've caught on to us using Rona yet, by the way. So I think we're good. But he says, and this is Glenn Kelman, who is the CEO of Redfin, he says that the housing market can get even hotter. So nothing crazy here, nothing too outlandish that he's claiming, but it's pretty crazy to hear it from a CEO, a C-level employee. So the hot housing market during the Rona could heat up even further if more homes are up for sale. The CEO of real estate brokerage Redfin told CNBC on Monday, if we see people get more comfortable letting others into their home, we're going to see more inventory on the market, and that's what will drive sales volume, Glenn Kelman said on Closing Bell. He goes on to say, today we are definitely inventory constrained. There aren't enough homes for people to buy, which we've been saying on the show since the inception of the show. So nothing groundbreaking there. But home sales have been a point of economic strength despite the significant damage caused by the Rona, driven in part by the increased flexibility of remote work. So that's the interesting part to me, because during this week's research for the show, I saw a lot of different articles, and one actually broke down where people are moving, and you hear a lot about people moving from California, and we have a lot of that, but Texas has had a lot of the most people leaving Texas going to other states.
Really? And that's interesting. Elon,
he went there. Yeah. But they also have a lot of people going in as well. Arizona has a lot of people going in. Arkansas was on the list. I know, Ray knows Arkansas a little bit. He's from there. But just, it's interesting to see how this is being, the people, you can work literally from anywhere, and how it's people being fanned out around the country, So this is, he goes on to say, every week I think it can't get crazier, and then it gets crazier. Still, he acknowledged that heat cannot be sustained indefinitely. This is a quote from him again. Mortgage rates are below 3%. That can't last forever. But here's a really interesting part. He says, but we think it can last through 2021. So we do have that one economist saying the next 3 years, but he's saying it'll stay below 3% through 2021. So we do have a prediction show coming up, Ray, on the 30th, right?
Yes, for sure. So predictions on the 30th. We have some special guests, other real estate agents from around the country, spanning each time zone in the United States. Actually,
we got it all covered. We have all four, I believe. We have all four time zones.
We have all four time zones. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
we don't have Hawaii. We got to get back.
I never do research for the show. I'm just kidding, but I'm going to do a lot of research and try to really, really nail this year's prediction. So this is going to be part of that. But he compared them. He mentioned that the strength of the current housing market is not similar to the mortgage bubble of the early 2000s, although credit standards are much tighter than they were. So what's driving this boom is true demand, that people want to live elsewhere. There's less speculation. There's less predatory lending. This isn't just a finance-fueled boom, he said. It is driven by a true change in consumer behavior where people want to go to Montana, or at least Sacramento or Tucson, rather than living in the major urban centers. So interesting stuff from the CEO of, I don't know, I'm just going to call him my favorite company. I love Redfin. Ray's. Why can't I hear Ray?
I muted it. That's fine. TJ Tripp brings up a good point. He says, define hotter.
Right. Well, that's the CEO stuff. Define hotter. It's all very, that's why when we cover these things and a CEO makes a comment, it's always interesting. But the one thing the little nugget that I like to pull from there is that he believes that interest rates are going to stay below 3 throughout the next year. That's crazy to me.
I think when you said define hotter, I just want to put up Jonathan Millions comment, Ray looking swole, brother. I mean, that's a pretty good definition.
Or just solo back on me again. That's fine.
Yeah, solo back on you. So Howard Broadsley says, interesting, getting the customer comfortable with the Rona in the market. Dusty Bart says, Liza wants to live in Tucson, even if they have a choice. Taylor says, Fayetteville, Arkansas was named the second or third most desired place to live in Forbes. Yeah, I did see that too. So we are seeing some of that. We actually have an article that we're going to cover in a little bit, talking about where people are moving. have you seen a lot of people moving to Huntsville from around the country? Are y'all getting a massive influx?
Yeah.
Well, Alabama was definitely on the list, was up at the top of the list for influx.
Is the influx coming due to the industry that's there now with the whole like rocket scientists and stuff like that are, I mean, that's crazy. First off, the paradigm that most of the South holds for places like Arkansas and Alabama is not one of rocket scientists. So it's just kind of interesting to see Huntsville, Alabama becoming like a hotspot for geniuses. But
by the way,
it did produce me.
It did what?
It did produce me.
Yeah, point in you made my point there. So
can I just one of my favorite YouTubers is Destin. He's got Smarter Every Day channel, and he's literally from Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah, I love it.
I knew he was Alabama. I didn't know he was Huntsville though, so that's cool.
So our engineering and space and all that stuff, I mean, literally we were called Silicon Valley of the South in one of the major publications because like our new construction market is, I was telling you some of those numbers, like we're getting $145, $150 a square foot on new construction. I'm about to help my dad sell his house, and we're going to list it in the mid 120s, and it's 10 years old and it hasn't really been upgraded. He'll probably get it. You cannot find a rental anywhere. I've got an Airbnb. Wow. We converted my investment properties to an Airbnb, and then the city shut it down and said, we don't have Airbnb in this town, Sonny. So I put it on VRBO. Well, I put it on VRBO and they didn't seem to care, but it's not stupid. I'm not. If the mayor's watching, I love you, mayor, but we got to work through that. But it is an incredibly hot market. You can't buy anything. I mean, houses are getting sold before we're developing 155 lots, and they'll be sold before we ever even think about wanting to sell them because you can't keep inventory. It's just unbelievable. For our MLS, this is a number for our MLS. There was like 2.5 or 3 agents per one listing.
Wow. That's wild. Well, they say 87% of real estate agents don't make it through the first 2 years. So I'm not surprised that most agents aren't listing.